Workshop here on YouTube. Hope we're all having a great and wonderful, fantastic day. So today we're going to be talking about A Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan. It's the second novel in her Touch of Gold series, following the retelling of The Tale of King Midas. Sorry, lots of words. Didn't breathe. I really enjoyed this novel. If you saw my review for A Touch of Gold, you know that I already enjoyed that novel. But I think I like this novel a little bit more. And the reason being is, meh, meh, meh. Sorry. My hair. Going to my mouth. Meh. The reason being is because it has more fantasy to it, I think. The first novel didn't lack for adventure and it didn't lack for character development. I do think the romance in the first novel was a little underdeveloped, and I really did like that. In this novel, we really got to see the romance between the two characters, between Cora and, man, I forgot his name. Should have written it down. But you really got to see the romance kind of flourish in this novel between these two characters. Now, what I thought was really cool, like I said, was the fantasy. We really do get to see more Greek mythology figures in this novel than in the first novel. The first novel, we really only got to see Dionysus in passing. We didn't really get to see him as a character. Now we get Dionysus, but we also get a whole lot more. We get satyrs, we get the Oracle, we get Poseidon, we get Triton, we get sea monsters. We get so much more in this story than in the first novel, which was mainly, I think the first novel was mainly just about Cora and her development as a character. You're probably wondering why I'm wearing like a sweater. I live in Florida. My house is freezing. I like to keep it that way because it's really, really hot out there. But I loved the richness to the fantasy in this novel. Let's get back on topic. The fantasy, I think, is more developed in this novel than it was in the first novel. Like I said, I loved the first novel. I thought it was very well done. I thought it was executed very well. I just think this one's a little bit better because we do get to see a little bit more of that fantasy element that was in that first novel, but not to this degree. Like I said, we get to see more. There's more magic. There's so much more adventure too. I mean, they have to break this curse that Dionysus has cast, because not only that, he's coming to kill her now so that he can prevent a prophecy from happening. I mean, Dionysus is kind of a jerk. Yeah, he's kind of a jerk. And that kind of goes in line with what I know of Greek mythology. Here's something I will say. I really love it when authors take Greek mythology and use it in their own way without destroying like that core of where it came from. I recently just read and reviewed a novel that took Greek mythology but really did a disservice to it. Unfortunately, the characters in that novel were quite bland. I don't think they were anything like what I know of them in Greek mythology. In this story, it's clear Sullivan respects Greek mythology, and I really love that. Because I am a huge fan of Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology. I think it's great. Cynthia is a Greek name. It's derived from Synthos, and it's synonymous with Artemis, who is the goddess of the moon and the hunt. So I'm very, very particular when it comes to Greek mythology. My mom had a lot of Greek friends growing up, so they really taught me a lot about Greek mythology. And my mother has so many Greek mythology books, so I love Greek mythology. So when you give me a story that says it's a Greek mythology retelling, I'm going to read it. Whether I'm going to like it or not is a whole different story. Sullivan made me love it. I think she does an excellent job at taking Greek mythology and adapting it in her own way without losing, that core of what Greek mythology is, without losing these characters, because Greek mythology has characters that are imbued with so much personality that I don't think it needs to be tarnished. And Sullivan does it, with her representation of Triton and Poseidon's wife. I thought it was really well done. And Dionysus as well. I think, and Hera is only mentioned in passing, but oh yeah, that's the Hera I know and love right there. Love it. So I love that Sullivan is able to give new life and new vitality without tarnishing what Greek mythology has already established. As far as Triton goes, I thought he was great. He is so much more complicated than he seems to be in the first scene, and I think that he's very human. I think Sullivan did a great job adding him to this story and bringing him to life, because there's so many complexities to him, and he does bring a lot of humor, to the story as well. I think Phipps also brings a lot of humor, but in a different way. So I like how Triton is brought to life in this story. I thought it was really well done, ultimately, and I really do admire that Sullivan was able to do this in such a thoughtful and imaginative way. And, that's a great segue to talk about the characters. The characters have all grown so much, and I love that Sullivan doesn't neglect her side characters. Not saying that a lot of authors do, but I think a lot of authors don't devote as much time to developing their side characters as much as their main character. It's not necessarily a bad thing, I think it's just, you notice it. You notice it when authors do it. And I think that says something about, how much you're reading. I read a lot, so the fact that I notice it when authors do it, maybe I'm just having a more in-depth reading, I don't know. But I am noticing it more and more. So I do think this is a new trend in fiction and fantasy, that side characters are getting developed. They are having their time to shine on the pages, even though they're not the main character. And Sullivan did this with the first novel with her, Cora's cousin, whose name I forgot to write down again because I love her. I can't believe I keep forgetting her name. I freaking love her. She is snarky and all attitude, and she's just like, I don't want to be a princess anymore. I want to roam the seas and look for adventure, and I love that about her. I think she really did go on such an pardon me. I think she went on such a great journey in the first novel, and she's continuing her journey here in this novel, but in a different way. Sorry, morning coffee. And that was something I took away from this in Sullivan's writing. She really does a good job with her character development and her character dynamics. Like I started, the romance in this novel is more fleshed out. It is more developed. I enjoyed seeing it. It was definitely more believable in this novel than in the previous novel, I think. And that is ultimately what I loved about it, because there's so much depth to these characters. They're still reeling. They're still kind of dealing with a lot of things that happened in the first novel. A lot of them have PTSD. Well, not all of them. Some of them do have PTSD. Some of them are still suffering from depression and a lot of grief. There's a lot of pent-up anger and uncertainty with this band of friends. And I think it says something about the depth of the characters. They're still kind of growing. They're still developing. They're still becoming stronger characters and stronger people, uh, given the events of the first novel. And I like that their journey isn't continuing, because sometimes when you see series, when characters go through a lot of growth in one novel, they tend to fall a little short in the second novel, because I think authors sometimes kind of get stuck with how can they further develop this character. But just like with us, as individuals, we're constantly growing. I think we're constantly opening our eyes and becoming way more aware, and we're changing. Our experiences change us daily. So I like that Sullivan is able to incorporate that in her writing and in her characterization, because it makes her characters more relatable. It makes her characters more complex and full of vitality and personality, because they do have so much personality to them. And I like how Cora is so different in this novel than she was in the first novel. She's really found that comfort in her skin. She's really headstrong. She's very powerful individual. She doesn't back down. She's just like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Even if it costs me my life, I will save my kingdom. She's a very thoughtful, compassionate, strong-willed. I really do like how her journey has concluded. And I like how a lot of the characters, how their journey has sort of concluded. They're not all fine by the end of the novel, but this new adventure has given them the means to learn how to cope and be fine. There's a sense of hope at the end of the story that lingers with the reader. And it honestly warmed my heart to read this story, especially that ending. I love the ending. And these characters, all of them, they all go through such a great journey. I think it's really well done. I thought it was... Oh, Sniffles. Don't you attack my cat. He's trying to attack my microphone cord. Sniffles, you want to say hi before I end this? This is Sniffly Wiffly. So I think, funny story, this cat was a stray. He literally walked into my apartment and made himself at home. No one claimed him, so he's mine now. Anyway, I really do think this is a great story. I do think it is one that is worth reading. It's such a great imaginative retelling of the tale of King Midas. It has a lot of vitality to us. It has a lot of vitality to it. It has a lot of personality. It has a lot of imagination to it. It's very creative. It has a lot of good development to it as well. It really is a good story. And I definitely think it's worth reading. So this was A Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan, second book in the Touch of Gold series. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. It didn't quite blow me away, but it was close. So 4.5 stars. What do you think, Sniffly Wiffly? I think he's going to give it 4.5 stars. I'm going to include a link to purchase the book in the description below. The link does go to bookshop.org. I highly recommend bookshop.org because a percentage of all proceeds do go to supporting local booksellers, and I think during this time, booksellers really do deserve as much support as we can give them. If money's too tight, which I know for a lot of us it is, myself included, check out the book from your local library. Libraries are a great resource for the community, and they're great for encouraging reading and just opening the world to countless adventures. And you know what? I hope you will support me by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.